And we're live.
Hey everybody,
Hey.
Welcome back.
We've gone pink this week. We were green last week, now we're pink.
So today we were thinking we were going to start talking about what is actually infiniteness. What does this actually feel like, or what is it like? What is actually that? How does it show up for us in our life? How do we experience it, rather than it being an intellectual concept? Because it isn't an intellectual concept; you can't actually know it. So we would like to lead into more about what manifesting, how that works, how that shows up in our life. But we kind of need to address, this concept before that about infiniteness and what that actually is and how we embody that in our life. So we were discussing about that difference, I guess, between how it shows up, or how we experience it, how we might come to this feeling, like our own experience of how we start this journey and this, awareness that might start within us of going, oh, there must be something a bit more to life. And that might just start with a question like that. And you start pondering on things like that. But you might sort of come across a book that you read, or affirmations, or that type of thing. So we're just saying myself and Natalie have both been very intellectual, both come at it from a very much a head space of trying to understand the ego and how the ego works. And there's nothing wrong with that too. We're just identifying that there is different paths that people come at this. So a lot of people come from a heart space, very spiritual oriented, but without the head part, you can't actually integrate the two, and vice versa. So if you come at it directly from the head space and not really experience it through your heart, the feeling space, then you can't actually get to that infiniteness anyway, because it needs to integrate and come together. So that's what we were just discussing now. So I don't know, do you want to share a bit about your experience in that on the?
Yeah, it reminded me of I have no idea where I heard it or read it over the years. I've read so many things. I do remember reading about that there's two different paths. And I think, one's related to Buddhism and one's related to some other religion or sort of sect. And it was sort of like, yeah, what you just said. You either come from an intellectual space and then drop into the heart, or you're naturally sort of drawn to the heart space, that more feminine space already. And so you've just done that, and you might have an interest in the intellectual side of, reading books about it or going to a course or something like that and finding out more about it. But generally, you'd be more interested in experiences. And it's sort of quite interesting. Yeah, Mandy and I very much have always come from the intellectual side, and it felt quite natural for us to do that.
Yeah.
It wasn't we were seeking it or we needed to know or anything like that. It was actually a really inner drive to know more, to learn about the ego, to read books, to go to courses, to become mentors to different people and all this sort of stuff. And talking about consciousness concepts, exactly like we are doing right now in this whole conversation sort of thing, this whole channel, really. Because we love talking about it. So is that right or wrong? And I think for a long time I judged it as quite wrong. I was like, oh, I should be more in my heart and blah, blah, blah. But it didn't really feel true for me either. So it was sort of like when I read that, I was just felt this relief. So I thought it was really important to talk about that today, because you might feel a sense of relief if you are coming from that space. It's okay, but that is actually your path. You're not doing anything wrong.
No.
But the key thing really is, as Mandy was saying, is to drop into the heart at some point with that. Like, you've got to embody those concepts. You can't just keep them up here in the ether. And a lot of people do tend to do that. And there is work out there too that I feel keeps people at that level.
Yeah, I think so too.
Keeps people talking about it, keeps people seeking answers, and remembering that if you have a question and you're seeking answers to things, that's actually the ego doing that. That's not your infinite self. Your infinite self already knows everything. So there's no questions in that space. And I guess that's one of the first concepts about what does the infinite look like. It's the nothingness. It's space. It has no questions. It just is, because it already is everything. It doesn't need to do anything. It doesn't need to manifest anything necessarily, which is sort of interesting when we're talking about manifestation.
Yes.
Week or two. It actually doesn't need any of that stuff, because it is everything, don't forget.
Which is such a big concept to, I know I've definitely struggled with that concept of taking it out of just a intellectual understanding into a feeling of embodiment. And that's still, I feel like I'm still in that process. There's still like, you know, there's always like that way to go with things like, but it gets more expansive as you go on the journey, and you feel less held down by the intellectual or the limitations that you might have set up for yourself, you know. So it's a journey, like it's a practice. It's everything we've been saying over the past few days. And but that almost that feeling of what Nat's saying too, that heart, it has to be the integration of the two too, because it's that I was just hearing somebody saying something about that, like if you hear stuff in your head, or like even a heart space, you come into a heart space and you just got a feeling about something, but you might not actually believe it as well. So there needs to be the two. It needs to be the combination of that, and you know, the integration of the feeling and the belief that it happens as well, and then it can merge together. So it's that idea of like saying affirmations. If you don't actually believe what you're saying, it can't actually work, because, and that's why people run up against, you know, so much frustrations and things like that too. They go, oh, I've tried that and it didn't work. It's like, well, because if the belief aspect is not there, or the knowingness in your body, you won't actually embody it. That's how it's meant to be, kind of thing. It is that you have to come at it from that feeling space. And I think we've all had experiences of just we were sort of talking about this just before, about that feeling of just a joy for no reason, if you like. It's like that you can't sort of put a label on why you just suddenly felt this feeling inside of you. You know, there might be an experience that you have, like maybe you see some beautiful scenery or something and it just kind of takes your breath away, or just some really playful interaction with somebody that just kind of spur of the moment thing that happens, and you just feel this, like something just rises up from within you and you just kind of went with what was coming through. That's the infiniteness, like that we're talking about, rather than it being like a manufactured experience to try and get happy, or to, and there's nothing wrong with doing something because it makes you feel good, but there's usually a motivation behind it to get to that space. It doesn't just rise up from within you naturally.
Yeah, and I think that's the difference between happiness and joy, and they are really, really different things.
Yeah.
So happiness is sparked from something on the outside world. So someone does something for you, or you watch a great movie, or you visit a new place that's really cool, and it's like, oh my God, I'm so excited to be here type thing, or that excitement in anticipation of going and doing something.
Yes.
That's that excitement or happiness type thing.
Yes.
It's very different feeling to just sitting there. You can literally just be sitting there, nothing is happening,
Yes.
seemingly. And just this rising feeling of, wow, everything's fucking perfect right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just that it is a sense of joy. It's a very different feeling, like when you can tune in and see the different vibration levels type thing of those two things. It does feel like it rises up, as you say, like from within, and just comes out, and it's just a silent moment for yourself almost. At times, you know, like it's sort of, you might have a smile and go, yeah, and then that's it. You know, it's a momentary thing. It didn't come from you didn't do anything. Or as Maddie said, it can spark from doing something, like you can
something spur of the moment that happens, and you go with the feeling of what's coming through you to do in that moment. It moves through you and you act on it. Yeah,
and it's almost like you take a step back from the scene, and that's what to me that's what it feels like. Is like you might be playing with a new puppy or something on a house set, or you know, out with friends or something like that, and having a really cool experience. And then it's almost like you take a step back and watch the scene and go, wow, this is cool. Like, it's just, again, that feeling coming up.
So it's almost like when you get that feeling of excitedness about something that's actually, you would say, not a true feeling, not a true expression of the infiniteness. Like it's an expression of the ego. And as much as that might say, oh, well, that means life's going to be boring if you don't get excited, it's like, no, that's because your ego's saying life would be boring. It's kind of that. It kind of gets really tricky with words to kind of, you know, but that feeling of getting really excited about, you know, you get an idea for something, you think, oh, wow, I'm going to go on this holiday and I'm going to plan this holiday. And there's nothing, you know, there is nothing wrong with, you know, doing that. But just notice that is actually not an infinite feeling, because it's actually quite a neutral space that you feel. It doesn't kind of doesn't take you up, doesn't take you down. It's just this real neutral kind of a place that you're coming from when it's a true feeling, and then you act on that thing that is coming through you to do in the moment.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean like, oh, you do something and you feel really excited, you go, oh, I can't be excited, and you sort of stop yourself from doing it. It's not about that either, because it's feeling whatever's true in the moment to feel, but just noticing that there's probably an agenda behind that excitement a bit too. There's an expectation of what might happen from that plan that you're making, or that the experience that you think you're going to have, or and it's like, that's fine too. It's just the observance of that too. That's pretty much what this is all about. It's just observing yourself. There's no judgment around. Don't try and stop that feeling from coming through. It's just the observance. Oh wow, look at that! I'm really excited about that. Okay, interesting. Like just no label, no judgment, no stopping of it. Just noticing. Yeah, pondering.
Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? Like, we just got a house sit in Paris, and it's a place I've wanted to go for so long, to actually go house sitting, and I've wanted to do it actually in the city, and I've seen it visualized so many times. It's just not that I've done a vision board or anything. It just was coming through. So we'll talk about that as well. Vision board as opposed to a true vision of what's going to unfold at some point in time.
Yes.
Unattached to it. And so it's unfolded. We have a really cool place right in the middle of Paris, like walks Notre Dame, here, there, and everywhere. And it's like, oh my God, it actually happened. That's really cool. Yeah. So part of me that was just like, of course, like, why wouldn't that happen type thing? Like, it was just a knowing that it was always going to happen, and here it is. Now's the right time. But then there's a part of me that was so excited, like I just wanted to tell people and stuff like that. So you can sort of tell the difference, and it sort of went backwards and forwards between the two. Like, in fact, both of them sort of coexisted with each other. There's this sort of flatlining, cool, and this sort of, oh my God, this is so exciting. So yeah, it is about embracing the excitement as much, but knowing that if you get really excited about something, chances are you'll get disappointed about it as well at some point along the journey. So
that's just how duality works. It's how the finite world works. There is that counterbalance. You know, physics has shown that it's that counterbalance between positive, negative. It has to even out at some point.
Exactly. So if you go up with excitement, then you're going to have to come back down into balance that back out, as Mandy said, into the pit, or something that's disappointing or whatever, to bring you back into balance again. And so, no problem with being excited, but just know that it probably will bring that equal disappointment somewhere along the journey. And go, I went this holiday, I was so excited, but it never turned out that way, or it rained when I got there, or the rental car wasn't there, and then you get the shits with that. And it's like, you're just coming back into balance where
I think it's noticing that excitement too, because you don't want to kind of get all excited and go, oh, okay, oh shit, I was so excited now, so now that means something bad's going to happen. It's like, no, it doesn't mean that either. It's that if you stayed in that excitement state with no observance and no kind of awareness of being in this highly elevated state, then yes, you're probably going to, it's going to kind of level you down, to level your expectation and to bring it back to like, no, this is not the truth of what's happening right now. So it's more that it's like what Nat said, the two can coexist, and you can notice the excitement, and there's nothing wrong with that as well. But like the observance of it is the thing that will kind of help you to bring it back into a true feeling state of what's going to happen, and let you experience a moment for what it is. And
I just wanted to go backtrack a little bit to when you were talking about beliefs and stuff. You know, a lot of people have affirmations or vision boards or whatever, and it's like, if those things on that vision board are not true for you, you know, like there's no point in me having a vision board that has, you know, dream cars and houses and all that sort of stuff, because I'm a traveler. Like, I'm fully nomadic. I don't want all those things. So, and I have done vision boards of those things before, and it's sort of like, that wasn't on my path. Yeah. So it's almost like your infinite self knows actually what's on your path, and your ego self is buying into the magazines, the peer pressure, the Instagram, the this, the that. All these things are coming together, and just the general concept that you should have all those things and you should want for all those things. But they may not be true for you. So I guess the more you get to know yourself and your infinite self, and trusting, you know, like I would never give up my travel lifestyle. I love it. You know, I get to stay in all those places. That's the funny thing. Like, okay, I had all those things on my board once, and I did it with you, man. I remember sitting in D.
Yeah, I've definitely done that.
Cutting out things, and it's now I don't have to own those things. I actually just get to use those things because I'm house sitting. So, and same with you, man, you know, like where we get to be a steward of somebody's big house, and their car and even their pets. Like we didn't have to own pets. We actually get to borrow them as well. So it's sort of like, you don't even have to own these things. Like thinking, I guess that's an expansive thought too into the internet is, okay, yeah, you might want those things, but they may not come in the form that you think. You may not even own them. You might just be able to use them.
Experience them.
And I don't want to own those things because then there's all this maintenance and costs and all those things that you have to take into account. I would much rather turn up to people's places, and Jodie and I have talked about this a heaps of times, going, more than happy to turn up to this place for 6 weeks or 3 months or whatever and look after this place, but I would hate to own this place because there's so much work to be done. You know, maintenance wise.
Unless you enjoy doing that stuff too. So that's the thing, because people might get it. Like we look after a lot of rural properties, so there's a lot of land, a lot of animals. Not that we always have to do nowhere near as much as what the owners would be doing when they're there, but you get a taste of what it would be like. But they actually just thrive on it. They absolutely love it. So it's kind of like it just comes down to knowing yourself and what you actually enjoy doing, but it is pulling yourself away from that influence that we have from the outside world, like the finite world around us, can definitely sway us and make us feel like, oh, we need to go down this path. We need to get married and have a house and have kids, and that might be true as well, but it might not be. That's the thing. It's that questioning. I think that's the part I got to is just last night thinking about that. It's just like, you got to question everything like that comes through your mind. If it doesn't feel like a true feeling, then you don't need to question it. But it's that kind of, you know, like I'm just thinking for myself right now, we've been house sitting for 3 years, but we're getting to it. Well, I am getting to a space where I'm feeling like, oh, really love to have my own space again. And so what does that look like? So your mind immediately will kind of go, okay, well, that means we're renting. It's like, well, I'm staying out of that space. Like I'm trying to really stay, like, I don't know what that looks like. I just know the feeling for me right now is that I want my own space. So I don't know what that actually looks like. My mind wants to tell me it's renting a house, because that would seem like the most logical next step right now. Because I was thinking, oh, okay, well, I can't just go out and buy a house today. Like look at my bank account, I can't just go and buy a house. Like it's kind of just like, well, I don't know what's going to happen in the next hour. Like it's kind of, if I stay in that infinite space,
who knows?
Yeah, that's the thing. Who knows how this is going to unfold, or is that even going to look like a house? It could be something. I just know that the feeling is I want my own space. So it's like, okay, I'm going to stay completely open to what that looks like right now. So
it could be that it's an office space.
It
could be somebody's property that they've just built and went, oh, can you go and try it out for us? Or could be get left in somebody's will and you had no idea. Like
that's the thing.
We're actually somebody's will and we didn't even know about it.
This stuff happens. That's the thing. It's like, it's when you stay open to the infinite possibilities. Like, you know, as an infinite being, there is infinite possibilities of how something can unfold. It's staying in that feeling and letting it come through. And when you feel moved to do something, you do something on it. The action becomes clear of what to do. So we've got lots more to talk about.
Oh my God, we can go forever on this. So we've already hit 19 minutes. Let's call it there. We're going to be back tomorrow to talk more about this stuff, because it is really juicy stuff. This is such cool stuff to talk about. This is where we start to really fly, because we love this stuff. So
one thing I actually did want to just say, because it was coming up when you were talking about the vision board concept, one of my mentors, Jennifer Hoff, that I've done a lot of work with over the years, she talks a lot about that kind of concept of a vision board. She's like, nothing wrong if you want to have a vision board. Like, you know, top half put, like, you know, whatever you want to put up there, your pictures or your things that generate that feeling of what you want. But she'll say, like, 2/3 or more, you should just draw a line across, leave it blank, and just write or better. The idea behind it is that you have no idea from this little finite mind of what the universe, you know, what's possible. Like it's we're coming from such a limited space of what we think we might enjoy. It's just like leave it open to the or better, like the or better of like just being that awe and surprise and delight, sort of like a little kid, of how, you know, like at Christmas time it's like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen type thing. It's that sort of feeling, you know, letting it be playful and infinite.
I'll tell some stories over the coming days of crazy stuff that's happened. And there was a knowingness of like, of course that would happen.
Yes.
But then the part of you just went, holy crap, that just happened. So we all tell some of those stories. I got a doozy one myself. So yeah, this is where it gets really cool and really fun. So awesome. All right. Stay and we'll
see you tomorrow.